started. We were, let's back up here to the other page. I think you're going over the main characters. Now remember, this is survey, so we're just doing a little overview of these books, and that so people get I don't know what happened to Buster. I asked him just to start the machine. I know he is. I sent him over there to hit the buttons and get it going, but to come over here and let her run. Yeah. Anyway, how are you doing, Amy? Is Buster surviving?
No, but
Is he sleeping soundly?
no, but Esther's here.
He's sleeping soundly. I'll tell you. How old is he now?
42.
42.
Oh my, he's old.
42. One more year. That's when we started the church. But doing that physical work, man. Oh my goodness. I think I was done in when I was 25. Hard labor. That's pretty hard labor. Anyway. You'll get through this year until October comes or whenever H2B kicks in.
Well, how is that stuff going anyway?
Say that again?
Is that settled? Are they here?
No, it's not settled. Who knows what's going to happen? It is what it is. All right, survey. Father, bless our lesson this morning, and that it would be fruitful in the lives of believers. And that we would be just glad that we were in the house of the Lord today. In Christ's name I pray. Amen. All right, the key characters. We looked at this last week. Solomon, he ruled for 40 years. 40 is the time of testing. And so we kind of named off all the 40s that are in the Bible. And I told you an old saying my dad always had was, when you hit 40, a man should be usually where he is at, where he's going to end up for the rest of his life. Are there exceptions to that? Worldly exceptions?
Market conditions.
Well, I want you to think of individuals. I thought the colonel, the chicken guy, who's the chicken guy?
Sanders.
Colonel Sanders started the chain after he retired. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I thought I heard that. Where he had the chicken house, but then he turned it into the franchise afterwards. Colonel Sanders, people do that. They go bankrupt. Well, there is a story there. And some guys make it early.
Actually, it's more like 30.
30. Well, my dad said it's when you hit 40. When you hit 40, you're going to be at the spot you're going to be for the rest of your life. But 30 is logical.
If you don't know what's going by 30, there's a problem.
Usually, but you're on your way to getting there. By 40, you're kind of set in there.
What Joe said, you should have figured it out by now.
Yeah, you should have figured it out by then. By the time you're 30. If you're not 30, you're not 30 yet over there. So you got time to figure it out. But and it's all right to have a lot of interests, and then figure out what interest you like to do, and then do it. Yeah, well, 40 is the time of testing.
I was interested in baseball cards.
It was at one time all the valuable. My dad had probably very valuable baseball cards. I burned them in the fireplace. And they were pre-1910. He had some cards pre-1910. Oscar Mayer. Anybody hear of Oscar Mayer? They used to have baseball cards in the Oscar Mayer package. At the back, it was wax covered with baseball cards. I mean, anything to sell a ham sandwich, And then when my mother kept throwing, I said, I don't want them. She kept throwing it in the fireplace. As the drawerfuls were going in from my brothers in my room, unfortunately, there were
But she bought boxes of big meat.
Oh, I know. But she threw the firecrackers in there. And then they exploded. They didn't know they were in there. My dad flipped over right in the chair in the living room. The whole thing went bang. Over. Yeah, the firecrackers were all going off in the place. Well, anyway, Rehoboam, Solomon's son, he gets the 2 tribes, the southern 2 tribes. Jeroboam is Solomon's servant. He gets the 10 tribes. The servant takes over. All right, now we're on the next page. This is where we are going to start. Ahab. If we would turn to 1 Kings 16. Isn't there a song in the 60s? Ahab?
Ahab the Arab.
Ahab the Arab. Yeah. I can't remember what group sang that. Ahab, that could be from the 40s, but it was popular in the 50s and 60s, I think. Ahab the Arab. He is the most wicked king, ruled in the north. And that would be the capital of Samaria, and it was termed as Samaria. Who was the most wicked king of the south? Ahab is the most wicked king of the north. Who's the most wicked king of the south? And he's the longest reigning king.
Jeroboam or Rehoboam?
Nope. Manasseh.
Oh, yeah. He killed the babies.
And, well, we say he killed the babies. What does it say?
Shedding of innocent blood.
He shed much innocent blood. Equivalent to abortion. The shedding of innocent blood. All right.
Ray Stevens.
Ray Stevens did that?
Yeah, he sang that. He had all those parody songs.
Okay, Ahab the Arab. 1 Kings 16, and we did bring that up last week or the week before, is when my brother and I, we were in college, my brother made a comment on it after I got out of school. He said they had the hottest heads on campus. They were always just angry, hotheads, and the Arabs. And it's because he shall be a wild man, and every man's hand shall be against him. I mean, the Bible just holds true. It is what it is. All this cancel culture, all this Black Lives Matter, all that stuff, it is all anti-Bible, and they're not going to come out on top. God always comes out on top. His word always holds true. So you don't have to worry about it. God always wins. All right, 1 Kings 16, 30 and 31. And Ahab, the son of Omri, did evil in the sight of the Lord above all that were before him. And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. Now we talk and say back in Judges, and this is a continuation of the Roman Catholic Church and the beginnings of that. The sins of Jeroboam, how many were there? And what are they? Anybody recall? They list them.
Oh, he built,
No, but what? How many are there?
um,
There's 4 of them.
did he build altars?
Say that again?
Did he build altars?
I think so. Name the 4 sins. I'm not even saying I could. He made priests of the lowest of people. I think that's the last sin. The sins of Jeroboam. Oh, I'm sure it's going to be listed in one of these. It could be in this survey here. He made priests of the lowest of people. No, he put the lowest of people behind the pulpit.
Oh, it is listed.
Oh, they worshipped devils.
2 golden calves,
The 2 golden calves. Yes, that's another.
Something to do with-
Oh, it's on the list.
Yeah,
Oh, you're reading them off. Okay. It's coming up. It's coming up. And what was the other one?
There's something to do with the religious calendar, I don't know.
Oh, and he changed the, he changed the calendar. He changed the holy days around. Changed the holy days. You could say that's like Christmas. What is Christmas? As an example, what is Christmas?
It's a made-up holiday.
Yeah, well, it's, what is that? in the
Christ
evening?
Mass.
Pardon?
Christ Mass.
Christ Mass, yeah, but what?
Winter solstice.
It's the winter solstice, it's
Solstice.
Yeah.
It's the shortest day, it's the sun worship day. It's heathen. And so the Catholic Church made these heathen days to line up with holy days to try to, the intent, what they claim, is to get the heathens to be Christians.
It's more likely that Christ was born during the Rosh Hashanah.
And Christ is born at some other time, at the harvest, some other, like August, September. That stuff's kind of been worked out already. All right, 21, 1 Kings 21.
Feast of Tabernacles. He tabernacled with us.
1 Kings 21, verses 25 through 29. But there was none like unto Ahab, which did sell himself to work wickedness in the sight of the Lord, whom Jezebel his wife stirred up. I mean, a lot of times, a wicked person behind the scenes. By the way, who got Joe Biden to run for president? His wifey. She's the one that's pushing him into this. I mean, how embarrassing. The guy has lost his mind. He needs to be in a wheelchair, and she's pushing him along. What would be her motive to push him along? If she's going to be motivated. Pardon? Her family. What about her family? Huh?
I said fame.
Oh, fame. I said family. What about her family? Why would she want to push Joe Biden into position to get him president?
Mula.
Because most of their family is headed for jail.
Mula.
Well, I think he's a wicked man. He knows exactly what he wants.
He's wicked. Well, but she was kind of ushering him along, pushing him into position.
He was cheating with her before he got rid of his wife.
Oh, a lot of that stuff. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay, where are we at here? Jezebel stirred him up, and he did very abominably in following idols, according to all things, as did the Amorites, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. And it came to pass, when Ahab heard those words, that he rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his flesh, and fasted, and lay in sackcloth, and went softly. And the word of the Lord came to Elijah the Tishbite, saying, Seest thou how Ahab humbleth himself before me? Because he humbleth himself before me, I will not bring the evil in his days, but in his son's days will I bring the evil upon his house. So he cuts him a little slack there. Ahab, I was going to say something about him. Oh, how do we know that Jezebel kind of ruled the roost? Who owned the grapevine?
Nabal.
Nabal. Is Ahab was
No.
one? No. Yeah, it's Nabal.
Yes, it's Nabal.
It's Nabal. He's whining. He couldn't get Nabal. He couldn't get the. Not the orchard,
It
but
was a vineyard.
he wanted the vineyard. And he's whining and crying on his bed. Jezebel says, "I'll get it." And so she's the one that really kind of ruled the roost.
Well, that was his inheritance. The vineyard was his inheritance. It was not lawful for him to transfer it other than
Oh, I know.
to his family.
It was unlawful for him to do that. And if he did do that, when would he get it back?
Oh, the 70 years or
The year of the Jubilee,
yeah, it doesn't matter.
where everything is returned. That way, people are not destitute. But that's not the way it is in the world. It's every man for himself. That's the way it is. every man for himself. And God's way is that no man should be destitute. So if he made unwise choices, the family was going to get it back anyway at every 50th year. All right, Genesis 15, verse 16. But in the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. So I guess we're saying. Well, that's 900 and, no, that's 1,000 years from then. The fourth generation probably has something to do with the cutting of slack. And so I don't know why I have that in there. That's okay. All right, Jezebel. That is a main character. What is Jezebel noted for? Name some characteristics of her.
Being eaten by dogs.
She was eaten by dogs. My pastor said he wanted to preach a sermon called "Where in Hell is Jezebel?"
Oh, it's a rhymer.
Yeah, "Where in Hell is Jezebel?" He never preached it. He would only say the title once in a while. And so why is it that dogs ate Jezebel?
It was a promise. It was prophesied.
It was prophesied, yeah, but why?
He said, she said something, he goes, okay, we'll see. You're going to be eaten by dogs, you're going to poop you out on the tongue.
Yeah, but why?
Because she was being,
So they could point to no place and say, "Here lies Jezebel." Because Jezebel wouldn't be buried, she would be all over the field someplace as manure. What are some other things about her? Didn't she start Max Factor?
she was eating herself.
She started Max Factor. By the way, the inheritor of Max Factor, where's he? As far as I know, according to, he's the grandson. He was going to inherit. He was going to be a billionaire. He went and murdered somebody. It was on Paul Harvey. And he went to jail. He murdered somebody. Max Factor. So Jezebel's the start of Max Factor. She painted herself.
Probably the start of women's liberation, too.
The start of women's lib, painting themselves, and getting the makeup all over their face.
Women's lip started Genesis 3.
Yeah, women's lib, yeah. And what do they say? It's, and what is the acronym? It's not an acronym, but Equal Rights Amendment. Did that ever they pushed for that, but it never got passed. The Equal Rights Amendment. So what does that mean in the Baptist circle? ERA. It's the ERA, Equal Rights Amendment. Eve rules Adam. You've heard of that. Eve rules Adam. Yeah, Eve rules Adam, the Equal Rights Amendment. Whatever they pick out, they pick stuff out to their own detriment. What's the abortion pill? What is the prescription for the abortion pill that came out? We did an article, we posted it in the paper. Are you for? It's R, the letter R, the letter U, the number 4, and then 486. So we did an article, Are you for? And what does the number 86 mean in football and with gangsters? It means to kill them. If you're going to we're going to 86 the left tackle. They're in the huddle. 86 the left tackle. We're going to cream him. So when they put a woman, and they do this periodically on the football field, they put a woman on the football field to show ERA, equal rights. And so what do they say they're going to do to her? We're going to 86 her. We're going to tackle her, and she's going to see stars from now to doomsday. right? That they're gonna knock her
I
out.
just, don't leave her out there, we'll just pass the ball in her area, she won't be able to catch it, she's too short.
Well, they give it to her. They hope the 86, probably even their own team does. Hand it off to her, and then when it's time to block, they don't, and then they cream them. Anyway, are you for killing? 86 means to kill. And so they select these without even knowing. God probably, I don't know if they know it or God says, well, if that's what you want to do it, let's get these numbers in here. Are you for killing?
46 is a computer number, Microsoft computer number.
Well, we posted, we wrote an article, we put it in the local paper. We ought to bring those back and post that. But see, are you for 86 is not you have to hop on it when it becomes a national issue. And then you post it right away so that people pay attention. And we did, and we put it out there. When the Twin Towers came down, the Fellowship Track League, they hopped on that right away. They made a track, and there was a play on words about it. And they had the Twin Towers, and they made a track about it right away. You gotta hop on that right away while it's fresh in people's minds. All right, Jezebel. She painted her face. Not the concubines. Those that she had surrounding her. Those are for me. Cast it down. Those women picked her up and threw her out the window. And then her blood splattered. The horses trod her down, and then the dogs licked it up and ate her. And then, and so that she could not be found, and so they would not be able to say, "Here lies Jezebel. Here lies Jezebel." Elijah, 1 Kings 17. This is where he just shows up. Now, I'm trying to think if Elijah shows up before that or if he's mentioned. I know one that is, I don't know if it's Jonah. That Jonah, he shows up elsewhere. It is not his first assignment. You'll find out that there are others. That's not their first assignment. But Elijah the Tishbite just shows up in 1 Kings 17. Elijah. New Testament, where is Elijah? Revelation? No.
Maybe Hebrews?
Isn't he John the Baptist? A type. He's John the Baptist. Yeah. But he is John the Baptist. I don't fully understand all that. But that's where he shows up also there. I don't know about Revelation. I can't think of that right now. But Elijah shows up there. Asa is a good king. He's a main character. Jehoshaphat, he is a good king. How many good kings are there from the northern 10 tribes, by the way? Pardon? I can't hear you, babe. From the north. I can't. Did you say something? Oh, I can't hear you. None. There's zero. Zero good kings from the north. How many good kings from the south? And people debate that. How many good kings from the south? Anybody recall? I think it's 7. And some say there's a 9. The north. How did all the kings die? Anybody know? I think all the kings died a non-natural death. They all died a violent death. They were assassinated, that kind of thing. The southern kingdom is, and by the way, the northern kingdom, none of them are related. The southern kingdom, they're all related. Why? Because there's a television program probably from the 70s. And what's that called? One word, starts with a D. I heard a word someplace.
Dynasty?
It's a dynasty. A dynasty. And who is then the center figure of that dynasty? What king?
The southern one.
Yeah, who's the center figure? Who's the grandfather of it all? Of the southern kingdom? David. It would be David. And that's a dynasty where it goes from, and they're all related. There's some of the kings are good kings. I think the bulk of them are bad kings. The northern kingdom, they all die a violent death, and they're no good kings. Pardon?
Two of the kings in the south.
No, I think there's 7.
7.
I think there's 7 that are good kings. And, or, you know what, maybe 7 that didn't die a violent death. I don't know. It's a but it is a dynasty. The north, none of them are related. It's always a new bloodline. Every kingdom is a new bloodline. All right, Rehoboam refused to relieve, that T is a 2-O, to relieve the people, of the tax burden placed upon them by his father Solomon, resulting in Israel's rebellion. Now, it shows up in 1 Kings 12. You hear preaching it then against Rehoboam. He should have just relieved him of the tax burden. He was advised by the older men. They said, back off on the taxes, cut their taxes. And so then he goes to his friends, the younger friends. They said, man, go for it. You know, my little finger will be thicker than my father's loins. And we're going to tax him. But who planned all that? Anybody know who planned that? I think it states it. But it's God's plan so that there would be a split. And that the 10 tribes would then, Jeroboam would split away. Because they approached him. If he had lowered the taxes, well then the prophecy wouldn't come true. So where does that leave Rehoboam? Where does that leave him? You know, you say, well, he was a bad king. He shouldn't have done that. But he had no choice if it was God's plan. No matter what he did, he was going to do it anyway. Right? It was like, we don't use the word fate because that's fatalism. We would call that, it was prophesied that the tribes are going to split off. So Rehoboam was going to do it anyway.
Well,
In other words, he had no choice in it. God's going to force him to do it. Make him.
No,
So whenever they're preaching against Rehoboam, then I say, well, if God's choice was for him to do that, Rehoboam didn't have really a choice in the matter.
no, he could have done right, and then somebody else would do it.
I guess you could argue that. Well, that's like what they said to Esther is what's her uncle's name or her cousin's name? Mordecai says if you don't do it, God's going to raise up somebody else.
Yeah.
I mean, we could go there.
I mean, yeah.
We could go there, but I don't know.
'Cause then
It makes it kind of tough for Rehoboam. He's kind of like stuck. He's stuck in this.
Yeah, woes to come unto people, but woe to them to make it happen.
All right, things that Solomon is noted for. 1 Kings 3. First Kings 3. It's the prayer for wisdom, and God honored that he didn't ask for riches and fame, but he asked for wisdom. And he's really noted for that. And so because he asked for wisdom, then God said, you know what, I'm going to give you what you did ask for too. Is the fame, the money, and all that stuff that most people are really 1 Kings 3, verses 5 through 13. In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. God said, "Ask what I shall give thee." And Solomon said, "Thou hast showed unto thy servant David my father great mercy, according as he walked before thee in truth, and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with thee. And thou hast kept for him this great kindness, that thou hast given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day." I'm just finding, where does it say wisdom? Oh, verse 9. "Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad, for who is able to judge this thy so great a people?" So he asks for this wisdom. Verse 12, "Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart." So that's what he prays for, and then God awards him that, and then above and beyond that. So be careful what you pray for. You have the right prayer, God will honor that, and he'll add to it. He'll add to it. You don't want to pray for wisdom and really deep down inside in hopes, well, I'll be rich. You got to have your right motive. If your motive isn't pure, well, God's not going to see to it that you have it. James 1:5, "If any lack wisdom, ask of God, he'll give to thee liberally." Liberally. If you lack wisdom, pray about it, and God will give you wisdom. You don't know what to do. If you're in a difficult situation, you do not want to do that. It's James 1:5. So he's noted for his great prayer for wisdom. He's noted for the building of the temple. We say it is the first prefab. He builds his house first, and then he builds the temple. I think his house takes 15 years or so to build. The Lord's house takes less. It's the first prefab. All the hammering, all the nailing, all that stuff is done off-site. And so when they build the temple, the final temple, all they do is they just have a big crane there putting the pieces together. Now how they get these pieces all together, but they do, so that there's no sound of saw and axe and hammer, none of that. So we say, and we use that as an illustration as to, we are now the temple. Where is the building going on this temple, where there's going to be noise, where there's going to be sawing, hammering, chipping away, flaws, and making it so it fits? Where's that all? You're the temple of the Lord. It's done on this side of eternity. He's knocking all the nonsense out of your life, all the cutting, getting all that sin out of our life. It would be Ephesians chapter 5, so that he may present it a holy church. So then when we get there, all that has to be done is now all the pieces will fit together. All the pieces fit together. There'll be no hammering and ironing out up there. It's all going to be whammed out here and down here. All right? That's why you go through trials and tribulations. That's why you go through testing as going through a furnace, and you'll come forth as gold, so all the dross, all the sin is removed. God wants to do that here on this side of eternity. 1 Kings 6, verse 7. In the house, verse 7, when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building. All right. We call it the first prefab. It says here, I have on my side margin what I wrote in, as it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor, so nothing would have been heard. So The Lamb of God is the perfect Lamb of God. Gives another reason why he was quiet. He was done before his shears. He was already built. Done before his shears. All right, we will stop there. We are 10 minutes to the building of the house, 7-1, and so on. We will begin there. And then the display of wisdom, we know what that is, where the two harlots come. 13 years to finish his own house, 7-1, building of his house. Father, now bless out and preach in Christ's name.